Hey guys, it's July 16th. I'm Chris.
I'm Mark. Good morning.
And the first big story is the All-Star game from last night.
Yep.
It was a pretty good game all around. The biggest story out of it, though, was a little bit of an error on Twitter. CBS News tweeted out Michael Jeter takes a bow at his final All-Star game.
Michael Jeter. I'm not even a huge sports guy, and I know exactly who Derek Jeter is. You know what I mean? This is a huge mistake.
It took them, I think, about 20 minutes to delete the tweet. Somebody was just kind of asleep at the switch. You know, it's an honest mistake. You kind of just do whatever, but people had a lot of fun with this one.
It's like a guy who doesn't know anything about sports comes in and tries to be like, "Hey guys, did you get the new Tom Jordans?" It's like, wow, it's rough. It's something I would do.
Yeah, I think one of the best tweets was Peter Cronkite is turning over in his grave.
Nice. That's amazing. Well, what's your take on it? I mean, because after the game, it was sort of released that the pitcher went easy on him.
Yeah, that's the thing about Jeter. He had a good game. He had a nice little double. He came in to score, but Adam Wainwright, who was pitching to him, admitted right afterwards that maybe he went a little easy. And you kind of think, okay, that's nice of him to do.
Yeah, it's kind of gentlemanly, sort of like honor amongst gentlemen, that kind of thing.
But it turns out the All-Star game actually counts for something now. Like who thought of that? But anyway.
So do you think it's a bonehead move? Like, what's your take on it?
Well, right now I think he should have just shut up. If you're going to do something nice like that, don't say anything.
Don't say it, just do it, yeah.
Giving him something easy to hit, let him hit it, everyone's happy. Why ruin it by saying, oh, well, I went easy on him? Anyway, it's a bit of a mess, weird situation, but I'm happy that Michael Jeter had such a great game.
Yeah, way to go, Mike.
An interesting study. I find it interesting because there was a big Norwegian study. They interviewed about 4,000 people, and it turns out men don't get as lonely after divorce as women do.
That's interesting. When I looked at this initially, I was just like, well, of course men don't get lonely after divorce because they marry a younger woman almost immediately. So there's no time to be, like, men typically, after divorce, fall right back into a relationship. The same is true with my parents when they split. My dad, immediately was, had a girlfriend, and my mom was single for years after that. Okay. I think what happens with women is that they're lonely because they just don't want to deal with dickheads anymore. They're just like, screw it, no more dicks, for the time, pun intended, for the time being. You know what I mean? So just like, yeah, it's lonely when you're single. So I don't know.
I guess that does make sense. And guys kind of feel maybe, they put a little too much blame on their partner for why things got screwed up, and they feel relieved after after divorce. They go out and party a little bit.
Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah, I mean, there could be like a blame thing where like men blame women, but I think the same is true with women blaming men with regards to splitting up. Be like, how many times have you heard any of your girlfriends like kind of bitch like, oh, all men are scum? You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas you rarely will hear like a guy say, in my opinion, oh, all women are such and such. Yeah, we kind of get like, to be fair, all men are scum.
Warren Buffett has given away $2.8 billion this week.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of change. But this guy he's 83 years old, he's in the winter of his life, he's worth $65.9 billion. So to put it in perspective, let's say you had $70 and you're walking down the street and you see a homeless guy and you give him $3. It's not that big a deal. Like, it's sort of like, it's amazing. Some people don't give any of their money away, which is nice.
He has pledged to give away 99% of his entire fortune, which is pretty amazing for
in the next 50 years.
The only weird thing I thought was that he gave away the most of it, $2 billion, to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, to another billionaire's foundation. Right. And, hey, buddy, here's some money for your foundation. You want to give mine? Right. I don't know. It's like the optics of it seem a little cloudy. It's nice. It's going to be used for a good cause, but couldn't he have found somebody else just to mix things up a little?
And Bill and Melinda Gates, in turn, are funding the remote control birth control device, which is an interesting. So his money will go towards people being able to control their uteruses with a remote control. So that's nice.
Now, you've moved before, right? You switch apartments.
I have moved before, yeah.
Sometimes you get a little lazy. You don't clean up after.
Sure.
Leave just a few boxes, some posters, whatever.
Of course.
Well, a Texas funeral home left behind bodies.
Yeah.
8 bodies. Somebody has to clean up that mess, and not to mention the families have to deal with it.
I could get past one body. I really could. If it was like a funeral home, I mean, you're in the business of dealing with bodies all the time, so there's cadavers everywhere, and maybe in the basement there's like maybe a small body, maybe a smaller fellow you forgot, you misplaced. But 8 is, you almost had to make a decision to be like, yeah, we're just gonna leave these here. Like there was like,
we got the truck for 1 more hour, guys. We're not gonna make one another run. Pizza's getting cold.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a brutal situation. I don't even know who'd you call, like. Hey.
I don't know. If you run a funeral home, you're already kind of a creepy person, I think. I mean, a little bit. That's a creepy. I mean, it's an important job.
It's an important job
for sure, but it's also a little bit creepy. Like we saw footage of the guys, and they're just sort of like both in like old-timey tuxes, and they're just. It's creepy. Like if you're a mortician, it's a bit of a creepy thing. So you kind of have to be above and beyond and make good choices. Leaving behind 8 bodies, not ideal.
Not good.
Not ideal.
Now this is a pretty cool story. I don't know if you guys have seen Prometheus, but this is basically saying it was a documentary.
Yeah.
An archaeologist in India has said that cave paintings, which are about 10,000 years old, depict aliens, UFOs,
I love this
space
story.
suits.
Yeah.
I'm kind of blown away by it. You look at the pictures and like, shit,
yeah, sort of like tall, large-headed, big-eyed, no nose, no mouth. Like essentially what every typical Hollywood movie kind of like showcases to be an alien. This is really interesting, and these are how old? They're about 10,000 years. Yeah, that's insane. It was in India, and for me, what's so interesting here is that it's sort of you kind of question like, well, that form of alien is sort of deeply ingrained in our mythology. So is it a storytelling thing where like because we have this sort of history of aliens, or are we kind of reflecting backwards now and like, oh well, Hollywood did this, and so now we're projecting that onto the actual cave drawings?
Well, they look pretty freaky to me.
Yeah, and there's a UFO in it as well, with like 3 sort of like a tripod landing device.
Apparently, the villagers have been telling stories for years about how these little beings would come and visit and then leave with 1 or 2 of the villagers.
They would take people with them and never come back. So like. Alien probe style. It's so cool. I love this story.
I can't wait for Prometheus 2.
So good.
Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
All right, guys. Take care.